Have you ever chased success, wealth, or pleasure, only to feel emptier than before? You're not alone. King Solomon, the wisest and richest man of his time, asked the same questions over 3,000 years ago. What did he discover? And why does it matter to you for your life today? Join us as we do a deep dive into Ecclesiastes chapter 2. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Clint, and this is a deep dive into the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I know I've been going through this series, and I'm really, this stuff is just really hitting me near and dear to my life. Maybe not so much my heart, but I can definitely tell you that a lot of this scripture, a lot of these passages that are fleshed out in the book of Ecclesiastes, because it's become so rich and hard-hitting with truth. It's like the reality of truth. Because this was written and recorded by the smartest person to ever live, King Solomon, son of King David, I just want to really point out that I feel like when you read like 1st, 2nd Kings, or the story behind King Solomon, like he did not live the most godly life. He got his wisdom because he desired to have the wisdom to rule, be the king of Jerusalem and the Jewish people. And God, granted that he would be the smartest man to ever live. And with that, I feel like it just hits so deep, because not that it's godly wisdom, even though he had a whole history of having that godly wisdom, but he had that worldly wisdom that I feel like we and I have experienced firsthand in my own faith journey, in my own life, honestly. Like when you get into each and every one of these passages, it's like, if you take an honest assessment of yourself and of your life like I have, and I'm not saying like but anyway, if you take an honest, open assessment of your life, and you can reflect on what the truth that he's saying here, I mean, come on, be honest. This stuff is real. This stuff is hitting home, like especially before Christ, even during your faith journey. I'm sure you're going to struggle with all of this. Like if you're honest with yourself, like I honestly struggle with this stuff all the time. I mean, I guess I'm trying to be honest. I do struggle with a lot of this stuff. And when we get into this, it's just right off the bat. He says, I'm going to test myself with pleasure and see how that works out for me. Honestly, test myself with pleasure. That sounds like most of my life, and we're going to get into it. So if you haven't been here before, welcome. My name is Clint, and this is the book of Ecclesiastes. We're going through it. If you haven't seen this, please check out my channel, like, subscribe, do all the cool things, hit the notification bell. And I've done an intro to the book of Ecclesiastes if you want to check the video out. I've also done chapter 1. You can see that. Previously, I'm making a playlist, so that will be linked at the end of this video if you want to check that out, and it'll be linked in the description. But here we are in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, doing somewhat of a deep dive, taking it a little bit slower, trying to flesh out some truth that God's got for us in these passages. So if you're interested in that and getting a little bit deeper and grittier in your faith journey and trying to see the true nature of your humanity, the true nature of your life without God, and actually try to see what God's got for you as you get closer to God, you come to the right place, and let's go ahead and get into it. So before I do, I just like to pray. So if you want to go ahead and pray with me, and we'll get right into it. All right. Go ahead and bow your heads. And dear Lord, I just want to thank you so much that you sent your son down to be a sin offering for us, that we could have a relationship with you, Lord. And the fact that you have advanced technology so far that we can communicate your word and we can communicate your word through the glow of the screen that technology has provided for us, Lord. I pray that those that are that are watching under the glow of the screen, that you would just be with them. Each and every one of us that are partaking in this video, by whatever means, if you're watching, listening, I pray that you would just be with each and every one of us. Please open our ears to hear, our eyes to see your truth, and our hearts and minds to just grasp the words that you have for us, Lord. I pray that you would fill us with your Spirit, and I pray this all in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So here we are, Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I'm just going to go ahead and read right through it. I'll be in the ESV if you want to join along, and then we'll get into it. All right. Here we go. I said in my heart, "Come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself." But behold, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, "It is mad," and of pleasure, "What use is it?" I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks, and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves, and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold, and treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. So I became great, and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity, and striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. So I turned to consider wisdom, and madness, and folly. For what can the man who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that there is more gain in wisdom than in folly, as there is more gain in light than in darkness. The wise person has eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I perceive that the same event happens to all of them. Then I said in my heart, "What happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise?" And I said in my heart, that this also is vanity. For the wise, as of the fool, there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How the wise dies just like the fool. So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me, for all is vanity and striving after wind. I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool, yet he will be master of all for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil, my labors under the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a person that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat, or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, He has given the business of gathering and collecting, only to give to one who pleases God. This also is vanity, striving after the wind. That is Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Here we go. Yes. Striving after the wind. So I said in my heart, come, I will test you with pleasure. I mean, I cannot lie. This has been like my life verse for most, if not all, of my life before Christ. I like to call that BC. My life BC before Christ. That was my life. That was my life goal. Test myself with pleasure. Not that I was so far gone that, I lived for hedonism, even though that basically is what I feel like it's called. To be hedonistic is like somebody that just finds the pleasures in life is like the goal of life. That's your definition. And if I could be so honest and transparent with you guys, that thought process, I would say, was probably influenced by the world. But I'd have to say that, yes, I will test yourself with pleasure. That just led me down a path of self-destruction in the long run. I thought, like the world tells you, like you want to love yourself and treat yourself good. And all these little ideas that revolve out there were slowly influencing me down this path of self-pleasure. So it's like, if it's good, if it feels good, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that feel good. There's a lot of things that taste good. There's a lot of things that look good. There's a lot of things that are fun. And there's a lot of things in life that you can find pleasure in, and living that hedonistic lifestyle was just overwhelming to me. And let me tell you this. So like, I remember when I first started going to recovery, I would sit there in those chairs and everybody's doing their open sharing, right? And I remember thinking to myself what I thought the perfect life would be. And I had these goals in my mind ever since, like, say, high school. I graduated high school. I want to do this because this is what I want. And I want to do this, so I want to get a good career so I can do this. Whatever it is you might be having, you might be enjoying, or your path might have been totally different. And mine was basically influenced by the world, what I seen, and what I thought was fun, and what is going to be cool, and what I slowly, eventually evolved into something very crazy. So I'm going to tell you what that is straight up. So I'm sitting there, and I remember reminiscing on what I thought would make me happy, and I would feel like I had achieved something and made it. And all I could think was like rap videos, parties, crazy wild parties. And what I boiled it down to in my crazy insanity of self-destruction and partying was like, I want it practically every day, if you can believe it. Every day. I didn't feel like I didn't make it unless every day was going to be like my birthday in some form or fashion. Every day was going to be like my birthday party, a great party, a high-class party, celebrities, all the beautiful women and well-known people would be there, and we would be having the most expensive meals, things to drink, and who knows what levels that would start at. But it's like, if I wasn't at the beaches, on the boats, doing this stuff, if I wasn't at the nicest places, nicest clubs, like every night it had to be like that. And I couldn't think of anything else. Like, I couldn't think of happiness outside of that. And whenever anybody would tell me their little stories, say when we're doing this open sharing thing, or even my friends tell me, like, oh, I just want, like a good woman, and get married and have kids, and just like have a house with a dog. And I'm just like, You're boring me. You're boring me. Where's the happiness coming in? Tell me the story of when you're gonna have some fun. Because this don't sound like fun to me. This don't sound like happiness to me. You're boring me. I'm falling asleep over here. Like, when's the party starting? Where you going? Like, it's got to be extravagant. Like, okay, you're gonna have the wife, kids, and then you're gonna go somewhere, and then you're gonna have some fun. This is what I was thinking. This is what I was thinking is supposed to happen. I was so far gone that was the path that I had gone down. Like, I went from high school, started drinking, drugs, everything. Went to the Marine Corps, went to all these different places, and then I already did all the wild partying. I came home, and I felt like I didn't have the college experience, so then I wanted to do all the crazy college party movies that I'd seen. I was like, I need to do that. That led me into, like, alcohol, drug addiction. So now I'm basically a sex addict, drug addict, alcoholic, and realizing that, I didn't realize that I was, like, that far gone, but my mindset was so poisoned with where I'd led that I thought that was, the key to happiness. That was going to be what was the key to happiness. It's like living this party life. You have to be somewhere like that all the time and just go, go, go. But even that little bit, like, burned me out. And I just felt like, because I knew the alcoholism was getting to me by the time I was like, this is like 10 years ago. I'm trying to figure out when I'm recovering. But anyway, I had gotten down this horrible path of hedonism. And here we are. God finally opens my eyes and I start, reading stuff like this and really reflecting, because I had rock bottom. I had to go to recovery. I still had those feels of, like, I want this party life. I still want this party life. I'm sharing an open share. It's just like all these life goals. I think they're up here. And I'm like, I want to achieve this stuff, but I need to climb my way up. Like, I need to get this kind of job. I need to make this kind of money. I need this celebrity status so I can have all these friends and all these great access to great parties. That's all it was just great parties and access. But when I finally boiled everything down to the hedonism and to the alcoholism, because alcohol poisons your brain, dopamine and all that crap, it poisons your brain. And that's basically all it was I was incredibly selfish. All I was out for was myself. Drug/alcohol addiction was just like very self-centered. And it was like my pleasure. Every dollar I made went towards this. And here I am, just seeking my own self-pleasure. And the world did nothing but back it up. Like, oh, you need to treat yourself. You need to love yourself more. You can't love other people unless you love yourself. That whole crazy mindset. So, jumping back into this, I feel like this first verse is why you got all of that. Why I just told you that whole story. He says, I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. And behold, this also was vanity. And I'm here to tell you that first verse is exactly my life up until like 10 years ago. And I'm in my 40s. So that was 30 years of life wasted on this verse saying, I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. And I'm telling you that you can get all the pleasure you want, but it's not going to get you anywhere if you ain't got God. And I believe truly you don't experience true love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, all the fruits of the Spirit without God. You don't get to experience true love without God, because God, He first loved us so that we could understand what love is. And as He gets into this gets into the next part that I like to share, which is the asceticism that comes with your faith journey when you start trying to overcorrect, which I feel like we all kind of go through. So first you realize your sin, you come to the altar and you confess Jesus as Lord, hopefully. Or maybe you just hit rock bottom and you need recovery from your crazy lifestyle. You don't have to be an alcoholic addict or anything. You could just realize your life without God has been hard. So you want to walk into the doors of a church or self-help group or just counseling to try to fix your life, because our lives are all messed up because of sin. So don't even try to trip that you ain't got nothing wrong with your life, because we're all living a journey where we're just trying to fix our lives. So here we go. We come to this point to where he starts talking about all the pleasures that he enjoyed. And I want to side with the fact that God created, like his creation, going back to Genesis, during the first couple of chapters of Genesis, like during the creation, he says everything is good. Day 1, he made this. Day 2, he made this. It is good. It is good. All these things that God created, it's for good. It's for our pleasure. He wanted us to enjoy things. And I'm here to try to say that in this book, he points out all the joys that God created. And it's important for us to understand that we can have joy and pleasure and still be great followers of Jesus, great Christian stewards with what we have. That's when Satan comes in and distorts and destroys and perverts all the goodness that God has for us. We have to realize that that Satan comes in, the enemy comes in, steal, kill, and destroy, and he will still kill and destroy and pervert all the goodness that we could be experiencing. And instead of running away from all this pleasure that he talks about, that we should embrace it and enjoy it. So as we go through, I just want to keep that in mind, that the asceticism that comes with it, or the legalistic nature, you just have to be mindful of the world around you. We're to be we're to be set apart from the world, and not, getting into the perversion of it all, which is the road that I went down. Hardcore. Like alcohol, even though I'm not a fan of alcohol, I was too big of a fan of alcohol that I drank myself practically to death. And God brought me back to life and said, hey, I want you to experience true joy without this alcohol. Even though I'm not a fan of it, I believe he created it for a purpose, and Satan distorts it. And I'm going to have another video on that pretty soon about alcohol and the demonic effects of it. But for real, because it gets into the next verse, he starts talking about, I think, drinking, searches himself with wine. And as another perversion of alcohol. So like, even though I could go through the list of this chapter and say, don't drink, he says, I tempted myself with alcohol, kept my wisdom going. And, I was foolish. And this was nothing good for us to be doing. And then he built houses and planted vineyards and, grew fruit trees. You think fruit trees is a sin and not a pleasure for us to enjoy? Like, if you got a tree at your house that has apples, I love having an apple tree. If that is a pleasure that you're supposed to take, that you're supposed to stay away from, come on now. Enjoying fruit. But he gets in here and says, that's not good. Slave, we don't have to talk about slavery, but basically he had workers, male, female slaves. Like, he was basically hugely rich, employing people, building houses, having a massive compound, I would imagine. This is a king. This is a king with enormous amounts of wealth. So the pleasures that he says in here, this is not a chapter to say like, hey, don't be doing any of this stuff. I think you get the point. But he's going through showing you all the things that he went so far overboard with, trying to find purpose outside of God. There is no purpose outside of God. You can't have farms. You can't have workers. You can't have singers. We got endless amounts of music on your phone and your devices, access to it everywhere nowadays. So we can't just say, oh, we don't have singers that sing for us. Now, come on now. We don't have workers. I mean, we got to the point now we're at AI. AI is now taking over. That could be almost like your little slave in your pocket. You can say, do this and do that. It's going to do all this stuff for you. And guess what? No matter what you have be going on with you, no matter what you got going for you, you can be accomplishing all these little things. All of this stuff, he says, is not going to fill that God-shaped hole in your life. God made you to be eternal. The only way to have and experience that fulfilling life is to have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. The God of the universe wants to have a relationship with you. And he put that in your heart so that you would have a relationship with him. So seek God and all of these things that he's talking about in this in this second chapter is going to be very meaningful, because all these things I believe are good. I mean, he isn't saying anything bad. If you want to say fruit trees are bad, man, fruit trees are amazing. I think that's one of the greatest things in the world. It says he had flocks more than any other in all of Jerusalem. He gathered silver and gold and treasures of kings, singers, and concubines. And he says he became great and surpassed all who was before him in Jerusalem. And he also kept his wisdom with him. I did not keep my wisdom with me. There's no way I would go down that path. Living like a spiritually God-filled life, I would not go down that path of addiction like I talked about my previous life. But he went down this path and he kept his wisdom. God said he was going to be the smartest person to ever live. So he's probably one of the few ever that was wise through probably the Holy Spirit, God being with him, but at the same time still messing with a very worldly world. And there's a lot of scholars, and even in the Bible, it speculates that he was misled by all the different women that he was marrying. They're saying that he was marrying, creating these, because he has 700 wives, 300 concubines, 1,000 women, but all of these different people that he was marrying was sort of like for peace treaties, but he was being influenced by their pagan gods, their spirituality, whatever it was, their mysticism. He was being influenced in it and turning, away from God a lot of times. And they believe that this book was written later in his life, like when he's an old man, and he finally come back to God and had to pen this scripture because he took himself through the ringer, trying to tempt himself with pleasure and all this stuff and all this wealth that he had. And sometimes that brings to reality of why you ever think about why celebrities sit there and fall off the deep end. Some celebrities, a lot of times they make all that money super fast, and you think like they gotta be healthy, they gotta be happy, they got a beautiful marriage, two celebrities get married, or like somebody's just filthy rich and they just seem to have it made. They're in like the best movies ever, and then all of a sudden they fall off the deep end, they commit suicide, they fall victim to drug addiction, and the Me Too thing that just passed by, there was a scumbag all the time, and they got caught for all this crazy essay allegations and stuff. That's just perfect examples as to what this book is basically giving us a roadmap. That you could be the wealthiest person. Solomon wrote this over 3,000 years ago. The richest man to ever live, and said, hey, it's worthless. It's not what you think it is, man. And if we could all take a piece of that for when we get rich, we would know not to fall victim to our pleasures, to our temptations, to our extravagance, extreme extravagance. So that's all I got for now. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. If you like what you heard, please leave a like and subscribe. If you want to support me and what I'm doing here at this channel, please go ahead and check the link in the description. If you want to buy me a coffee or make a donation, I'd greatly appreciate it. The more you help out, the more I can get a little bit more free time to do this. But hope you guys are having a good one. And we only made a little bit into chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes. I'm going to come back and do a little bit more on this. But hope you all have a good one. And I shall see you guys all on another one.